We live in a privileged society where international travel is but a plane ride away. Tourism is a major component of the world economy and is of particular importance to the economy of Quebec City. Quebec City is located on the eastern side of North America. It is the fourth most visited destination in Canada after Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. In 2011, tourism provided 29,500 full-time jobs and generated $1.4 billion in annual tourism spending. This is truly massive. In 2012, there were approximately 650 lodging establishments with a total capacity of nearly 15,600 rooms. However, tourism is not just a set of business activities, but a social phenomenon. In other words, tourism affects both the traveler and its hosts. Never in my life would I have described a trip to Canada as life-changing or eye-opening. However, I was pleased to discover that Quebec City stimulated these feelings in me. What began as a school-sponsored research trip turned into the travel experience of a lifetime. There are innumerable historically and culturally significant locations dispersed throughout the city alone, and even the country itself. For those of you that don't know, in 1608, Samuel de Champlain founded Quebec City. It is internationally recognized as a cradle of French civilization in North America. Today, it is the capital of the province of Quebec and boasts around 677,000 inhabitants, 95% of whom are French-speaking. However, many people, including the vast majority of hospitality industry workers, also speak English. This city claims an enviable cost of living compared to other international cities and prides itself as a UNESCO World Heritage Treasure. Some of the most popular attractions include Vieux or Old Quebec, Parliament Hill, the fortifications, La Musée de la Civilisation, the Cathedral Basilica of Notre-Dame de Quebec, La Musée National des Beaux-Arts de Quebec, and Château Frontenac. Canada is a country characterized by diverse inhabitants, which contribute to the unique cultural landscape. This landscape is represented to the material world in a variety of manners, such as through museums, public art displays, monuments, and non-traditional mediums like graffiti. Each method of displaying objects constructs a narrative, which affects the experience of the viewers in distinctive ways. Spatial considerations also affect perceptions of art. Art is an especially important issue in Canada, a nation struggling through an identity crisis of sorts. The art president in Quebec City expounds its national identity and presents it to tourists. These material objects attract tourists who in turn leave their mark. According to popular belief in sociology, material and symbolic relations are constantly becoming assembled, exchanged, and transformed on behalf of tourism. The act of sightseeing helps a person construct reality from their experience. It is often described as being interpretive or perceptive. The study of tourism has roots in psychology. Psychology seeks to understand the satisfactions and motivations individuals expect to derive from their involvement in leisure activity. There are two types of motivational forces: approach and avoidance. Approach is looking for potential satisfaction, and avoidance is to leave routine behind. Both of these can be accomplished during travel. The experience of a tourist is very fascinating, especially in Quebec City. The attractions that they visit occupy physical spaces such as battlegrounds, monuments, and city walls that are edifications of the history and memory of Quebec City. Travelers bring their preconceived notions with them in discourse when observing attractions. Every traveler influences both their hosts and themselves in a variety of ways. Globalization has created a social context in which complexity produces diversity, and this enables both possibilities and threats for identity building. This is an especially important issue in Quebec, which is part of Canada, which struggles with identity building. Museums are a traditional method to display objects, although they assume a variety of different roles. The preservation and promotion of art is one of museums' core functions. Museums differ from other methods of displaying art because they convey their narrative through a collection of objects. Monuments, for example, have a dense message conveyed through the usage of the monument itself and the land surrounding it. Ephemeral art forms are not typically found in museums, but rather in public art displays. Boyven discusses how ephemeral art forms expand the conception of what is thought to be art. Art found in museums often follows a set style guide. Monuments are also a prime example of shaping perceptions of identity. Monuments commemorate a person, idea, or event. Like other forms of public art, monuments are a lot harder to ignore than museums. They engage a much wider audience by being situated into a public space. As Hucker says, the land on which a monument stands is important to its message. It is a space into which memories are situated. For example, the monuments in Parliament Hill are an example of how space affects an object's perception. Being situated next to important government buildings legitimizes these monuments and places them up on the hierarchy of the historical canon of the nation. Public art can take a variety of forms. It can be commissioned or, like graffiti, illegally placed. According to Boyven, artwork displayed in public plays on different perspectives. These artworks are integrated into the cityscape and affect the urban experience. Unlike museums, public art is fluid and mobile, as are its audiences. Therefore, it is also harder to ignore. Different types of art do not occupy mutually exclusive spheres. Rather, they collectively contribute to the cultural landscape of a nation as a whole. While they differ in their rhetoric and practice, the different methods of expressing art aggregately contribute to the identity of Canada and in turn Quebec. Whether this is through public art, museums, monuments, this is important as Quebec is a province still trying to forge its identity. More consideration should be placed on how these different types of art construct this identity and how they are perceived to outsiders. More art projects should be undertaken and funded by the government in order to project a uniquely Quebecian identity to the world